Hi, Andariki Namaskaram. In this video, we're gonna talk about, I think you might have already seen in the thumbnail, but you are now seeing live in this video too. And I'm gonna talk about this Ridetek throttle gripper. I'm not gonna call this cruise control because cruise control is different aspect. I'm gonna talk about cruise control in this later part of the video soon after this. This Ridetek throttle gripper is very good. It's a throttle locker. As we can speak of, it's not a cruise control because cruise control works on a feedback loop system. It needs constant feedback to maintain the desired output. For example, if I want to cruise at 60, so what are the parameters we can control is, apart from the brakes, we control here the throttle response. Throttle, how much throttle we gonna give, we control it. If you are downhilling it, it will reduce that ECU. If you are riding uphill, it will increase the throttle, how much throttle we gonna give. So here in this throttle gripper or throttle lock, so in this video I will call it as a throttle lock. The throttle gripper seems to be big word, so it won't be easy for me to speak again and again, so I will consider it as a throttle lock. See, it seems to be very fun, very easy and easy on hands to ride with this, but there are many cons to this product. The idea of the product seems to be having many cons, and it contrasts against the riding. Riding is all about habits. If your habits aren't any good, it will almost every time result in a disaster. So if I talk about this throttle lock, this is from Ridetek, and it costs around $499. I bought it from Amazon. It's a simple mechanism. We have to attach it to the throttle and lock it. First I will release it. So this is the way you can reduce or decrease the speed and disengage the throttle locker. So I'll go to 66, and this locks at 66. Now this is in the downhill. Okay, see the considerable difference. That is not the exact speed of my bike engine. The gravity downhill added, so I have to increase a little bit. I am taking 60 as a reference because it is easy to handle. I am a beginner to this, and it is easy to control if something mishap happens while recording or so on. So I do not want to use this in a high speed cruising. I just want to use it in slow speed cruising where I drive for the mileage or I drive for the leisure. So here I have to go back and talk about the cruise control. Cruise control aspect has an input and a desired output and the parameter that controls the input. So we have a correction that is useful to control the parameters that increases the input, and thereby output also increases. So if I locked at 64, so now you can see the difference. It gonna decrease. That 64 gonna decrease because it's a manually overridden thing, and it only locks the throttle. It doesn't get any feedback from the speedometer that I am traveling at 64. Even if you lock it at 100, it's gonna travel at 100. So see the difference. This is the first con. If you are traveling, if you are riding an uphill, something like this, if you are riding a steep, so speed considerably decreases from 64 to 60, and you can observe the difference here. This is one of the cons. It's not a cruise control. If this is the system operated cruise control, it will give the feedback to the ECU that at the speed is decreased, increase the throttle a little bit. Now you're gonna see the same difference vice versa. Now I'm gonna go down the flyover. It will increase the speed from 64 to 70 and so on. So if that 5 km doesn't make any difference to you, you have to crucially concentrate on your riding, because that 5 and 10 kilometers are the things that gonna result in a mishaps or unfortunate incidents. It increased to 75, that is drastical increase in the speed. Now 60 to 75 doesn't seem to be more, but when you're traveling at 100 and it suddenly increases to 110, you're gonna recalculate these things. So cruise control, the correction will be made by the cruise control ECU. The system itself is called as a cruise control, but that ECU controls the that alpha kind of beta kind of correction in it. So you are going the uphill, it will increase. When going the downhill, it will reduce the throttle. Thereby you can considerably increase your mileage and the speed will be constant. See, I have put this at 64. Now the throttle is gone 74. How do you rely on this kind of throttle lock? I have traveled almost around 5 to 10 kilometers without using my accelerator, comparatively very less. So do I refer or do I prefer the fellow riders to use this? No, completely no, because it creates a problem in attention and observation element. Regarding attention and observation thing, which is very crucial for every rider, I'm gonna talk this at the later part. Now I'm gonna discuss this about the throttle function. The throttle function itself is in the home state, that is at 0. So the home position or the 0 state of the throttle, it won't move the bike. But here the home position would be around 60. So I have to recalibrate my brain, telling that, man, your home position is 60, you have to concentrate on reducing your speed. So I am downhill, going downhill. So it increased from 64 to 74. So these are the problems, real world problems that this throttle locker gonna give. And I'm gonna talk about now observation and attention. I'm putting my hand on the tank. I'm not putting my hand on the accelerator. I'm not controlling the accelerator. See, this seems to be very cool, fun, but there are so many problems. Now I'll start the problems. First thing I said about a considerable increase in the speed when you travel downhill. And now I'm gonna talk about the main concept of habits while riding a motorcycle. Why do we ride a motorcycle? We ride a motorcycle so that we want to live a life far away from the real world. Like we want a me time kind of thing. We want to spend some time with ourselves. So if you are that guy, so you have to put your brain to concentrate on something so that you can get rid of your unnecessary thoughts. If you are not controlling your accelerator, that is the only thing you're gonna do when you cruise. What you gonna do now? You will invite your thoughts from past, your fears from the future, whatever it might be, and you will lose that attention. By losing this attention, you will lose your observation, and this becomes an habit. And one bad day, it might create an unfortunate incident which you do not want to happen. So this is very slow poison kind of thing which we should not encourage as a rider, especially beginners who attempt to use this throttle lock at very high speed. So for me this 66, what if the dog comes now? So my reaction time from this tank to throttle and throttle to pushing it to 0 and braking is considerably increased. I'm gonna talk about the main part of high speed cruising, reaction time. Reaction time, man, if you're traveling at a high speed, having 4 fingers on the accelerator or covering 2 fingers for the front brake has a vast difference in the reaction time. If you put hand like this, if you thinking something, you are scratching your back, or if you want to operate your mobile phone while using this throttle lock, man, it's gonna create some problems, serious problems. Yes, at 60 kilometers on this national highway, it seems to be crisp, fun and smooth, but not why I'm not showing 180 kind of thing is, it's not advisable to travel with a throttle locker at 180. It's very difficult because on a highway average speed we have around 80, 60s. Public transport travels around 60 to 80 and cars travel at 100. You don't have that observation and that less reaction time, you're gonna create some problems to yourself, not only to you but to others also. See, I set at 64 and it's constantly increasing when I get down from the flyover. This is gonna create mishaps. I have to consciously work on thinking, calculating whether I should brake or whether I should deaccelerate, whether I should be following the same kind of throttle response. I never know. So there are cars from behind. So one advantage I can do is I can accelerate a little bit, overtake, and go back again to normal speed. So will it reduce the speed? Let us see. I rode it up to 80 and now it is reducing to 75, 74. I can gradually reduce it. So I have to reduce it 72. So if you want to use this product, you will be very serious observer, because you should not have time to encourage your unnecessary thoughts which gonna ruin your ride. So for slow speed riding, this is good.